let's be real here. So, really gonna try to talk without sounding pissed off. So, in case you haven't heard, the Powerpuff Girls reboot. God, I sounded like such a hater right there. But the Powerpuff Girls reboot, or more specifically, I should say, Cartoon Network's social media pages has put out this picture. I'm going to put it up right now, saying that a fourth Powerpuff Girl is coming. Huh? And it's going to be she's going to be part of a 5-part movie event called the Powerpuff Girls Power of 4, airing Sunday, September 17th at 5:30 Eastern. And Cartoon Network hasn't said specifically what this new Powerpuff Girl does or what her personality is like, but we'll find out when this special comes out. And I even have some answers for you right here. So, my thoughts on the Powerpuff Girls are, I really like the original series. It was one of the first Cartoon Network shows I ever saw, and I was a fan when I was a kid. The reboot, on the other hand, is easily one of the worst cartoons of the modern era, or more this decade specifically. I mean, the reboot basically poorly satirizes, when it does, the world around us, and while stealing from current cartoons like Steven Universe and Star. I mean, in this day and age, speaking of those two shows, Star and Steven Universe, why those two shows work so well is because they have really developed and likable characters. So it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, you could still get into, the characters and support them. So that's why, some may call these shows, girl power shows. That's why those two shows work. And even, I'm going to count the Loud House in this. I know I said the Loud House is just kind of meh, but I do like the characters, Lincoln's sisters it's a large cast, but they're still a very likable family, Whereas this reboot, its biggest problem is pretty much, my biggest problem with the reboot is pretty much what everybody else has been talking about, in that the characters are so flanderized. I mean, we've always known that Blossom was, the smart one, Buttercup was the kind of tough girl, and Bubbles was the cute one. But it's they really exaggerate those character traits, where it's pretty much that's all they've got to offer, and also they're not likable because of how flanderized they are. So I first heard about this announcement a couple days ago. I was going through my Facebook feed, and when I saw that, I was really pissed off. I mean, and I kind of felt that's the idea behind the marketing of this episode. Unlike I guess, it's kind of like what Cartoon Network does with Teen Titans Go. How do you market the show? Basically, one of the ways to do it is to piss people off, Because unlike Teen Titans Go, which is a really big success for Cartoon Network, the Powerpuff Girls reboot, I'm going to be clearing my throat quite a bit during this podcast, but the Powerpuff Girls reboot is not doing well at all. I've heard that the reboot is seen by barely 1 million people a week, and it kind of shows on Cartoon Network because it's not even aired on the network that much. It's only aired on Sundays, once a week on Sundays at 5:30, which, I gotta agree with pretty much everyone else. That's not exactly the best time to air a show. Air a show for kids, because Sunday at 5:30 they're finishing up their homework, they're getting ready to eat dinner in some cases. So it's funny how I'm a person who thinks that Cartoon Network is trying too hard to get people to move to the app, but I kind of feel it's working against them. Here's a show I think the network really believed in, but now because it's not doing so well, it's becoming a victim to the if it's not doing well for us, you're just going to get had thrown into the app, the streaming app for iPhone and Android. So yeah, so I totally lost it when I heard there was a new character. But then I found out this is not actually the first time there was a fourth Powerpuff Girl. Like, I'll be honest, I've seen a good amount of the original series, not every episode, because as a kid I didn't have cable at my house. But I didn't know there was actually a fourth character named Bunny, who's basically this fourth Powerpuff Girl the girls created because they're overwhelmed with how much crime fighting they have to do and how much housework they have, like housework, homework, and so forth. And so Bunny was created. She was only there for one episode. Basically, I'm gonna get into some spoilers here. Bunny starts off confusing police officers for the bad guys, so she ends up throwing the police officers in jail, and then the girls find out. They tell Bunny, you may not be cut out to be a Powerpuff Girl. Bunny goes off and cries. Then the robbers, the bad guys, because now they're free since the cops are in jail in the episode, they go beat up the girls, and what happens is Bunny hears this, and she saves the day. She beats up the cops, but because she was made out of unstable materials, like she was made from artificial sweetener, dirt, and twigs, and practically everything nice, not the exact same ingredients as the girls themselves, she explodes, which I gotta be honest, like, they play it kind of humorously over the top, but it's still really sad. Like, I watched that episode a couple days ago 3 times, and ooh, you really feel Bunny's demise. So yeah, so I first thought when I found out about Bunny that, they're gonna bring back Bunny, but given how this reboot flanderizes characters, she's not going to be the exact same character, and she was going to be dumbed down to one single personality trait, which I feel for the character of Bunny would just come off as insulting, because the way Bunny works is like the best way I can sum her character is she just wants to do the right thing. Like, yeah, she kind of looks scary, and she could barely talk, but it's like, you can tell she has a good heart. So I thought that this reboot was going to really dumb down this character. Maybe give her, they'll try to give her a sweet send-off, but they'll just basically have this Powerpuff Girl going around bashing, a similar plot to the, original series. She would confuse bad guys as for being the good guys and so forth. Well, then I found out later on that this is not Bunny. It turns out the episode, or at least not the episode, but a preview for the episode came out on Cartoon Network Russia, and this is what she looks like. Which, I gotta be honest, this new Powerpuff Girl, I don't mean, her design isn't that bad. Like, she doesn't quite fit with the other girls, because Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup, like, they still kind of look, yeah, they're cartoony, but they still have the features of kind of a realistic looking girl. Like, Blossom has the red hair, Buttercup has black hair, Bubbles is blonde, and so forth. Whereas with this new character, her hair is blue, and that kind of makes her look like Kelly from Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which, yeah. But honestly, I honestly don't really mind the design. I know the round table, they pointed out that, why is her head so big, and why has she got these big hips? But, it's not too much of an eyesore to me. So the design is fine, but yeah, I've learned more about this character, and actually learned this from the roundtable video, that the episode has already aired in Africa, and this character's name is Bliss. Which, okay, unlike her appearance, her name just doesn't fit. Like, again, like Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup, you heard me say their names. They kind of have, names that, fit their personality. Like they're kind of, how can I put this? Kind of, names that give them kind of I'm not really sure how to describe it. It gives, their personality a punch, if you will. Like, Bubbles, Blossom, and Buttercup, Whereas Bliss, this name that sounds, Bliss kind of sounds like a soothing name, and that doesn't really fit with, the girls themselves. So, who exactly is Bliss? Like, where did Bliss come from? Did she come from an experiment just like Bunny did? No. Again, the episode or episodes, I should say, since this is a 5-part special, was already aired in Africa, and Bliss is actually Blossom's imaginary friend, which, not really sure how to feel about that. I'm really trying not to just dismiss this character, but I really just don't know. I mean, going back to because one thing I could say for certain about this character is I don't think the writers of the current Powerpuff Girls reboot, I don't think it's that they were thinking, oh, there's Bunny. Like, yeah, Bunny was in the original series. They have a 4th Powerpuff Girl. Like, it just feels like a move they did out of attention. I mean, Teen Titans Go has been around since 2013 now, so it's not surprising if Cartoon Network gave them similar, orders, if you will, where, our marketing tactics are going to be based around, like, really getting people's attention and, pissing off the people who aren't pleased. I mean, if you look at the villains of the Powerpuff Girls reboot, some of them I think fit. Like, what's the one that's obsessed with fashion and Man Boy? Even though I'm kind of offended by his character, but still kind of satirizes men who are sexist and are very oh man, yes, if you will, if you're into the nostalgia critic. Like, those villains fit. Or Pack Rat, for instance, even though he kind of gets some of those. So, not the best villains, but those 3 work. But the series has also had characters that just don't fit with this kind of show, like Janitor and Princess Bluebell. And I'm just thinking, did they just sit down and watch like Star vs. the Force of Evil and think, oh, kids like fantasy characters now, so we have to put them into the Powerpuff Girls even though it doesn't really work? It's that kind of logic where it really doesn't have anything to do with the Powerpuff Girls, and that's where I think Bliss came from. And she just came out of, what can we do to really, piss people off / attract attention to a show? Oh, let's add a new Powerpuff Girl. Yeah, I mean, that's where I think this character came from. And unlike Bunny, who was there for 1 episode and was, I don't know if you could really count her as part of the team. I know there are fans out there that are going to say, yes, she is, but you could tell that she was kind of more of a secondary character, The thing about this is, why did they have to add another character? Like, in terms of story, like in terms of marketing, like, yeah, it's stupid, but it's like, it's technically a good marketing move in terms of getting attention. But think of it like this, like, if you were to look at, let's say, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which, I won't shut up about that show, unfortunately. I really do like that show. I have problems with it, but it's still really cool. But anyway, if you look at Star, like, you have Star Butterfly and her best friend / crush, Marco Diaz. what would happen if you added a third character? And in the case of Star, it unless there's a good reason, it kind of ruins the sort of balancing act the show has, because Star and Marco have this very you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours kind of relationship. And even in one of the episodes, we see that Star stands over a floor that has the moon on it, and Marco is standing on the floor that has the sun. So they balance each other out. If you're gonna put a third character in that kind of a show, they have to serve. How does that serve their balancing purpose? Or in the case of, let's say, Gravity Falls, you have Dipper Pines and Mabel Pines. And the show is very centered around this idea of twins. I mean, obviously, Alex Hirsch himself, is a twin. And it plays with that. You have Dipper and Mabel are twins, and Stan and his, spoilers, brother Ford are twins. So if you were to add a third character to this mix, how does that work? And it just actually came to my mind. In the case of Powerpuff Girls, it kind of works as a balancing act, because you have Bubbles is the cute one, Buttercup is the abrasive one, and Blossom is somewhere in between. She's not overly cute, but she's not overly, brutal. She's the leader, she's the smart one. So that's how it works. So how is a fourth character, what is she going to do? I mean, we're judging her right now, even though we don't have much to play off of. But honestly, that just seems like the biggest problem I personally have with Bliss, other than the name, is just, what is she going to do? I mean, she's obviously not going to be there to be like, serve Bunny's purpose, where she can't tell she has trouble telling the difference between bad and good. So, what are they going to do? I mean, are they going to play with the whole imaginary friend thing, where Bubbles is trying to convince, Buttercup and Blossom, hey, she's real, which that's going to get really annoying really fast, knowing how this reboot works. Or what else? I know some out there may think, oh, she looks like a black character, so they're going to, use it to pander, anti-racism, which, again, I hope not. I don't have a racist bone in my body, but if they're going to go that route, they better make this character likable. As I said before, that's why shows like, Star, Steven Universe, and Loud House are able to do, empowering characters, because they're so likable. But knowing how this reboot really likes to Flanderize its characters, I just don't think it's going to work very well. I mean, is this going to help boost the Powerpuff Girls reboot's ratings? It might. Like, there are definitely going to be people there to watch it when it comes out on the 17th. But, unfortunately, even if I wanted to watch it, I'm not going to be able to, since I don't have cable. So I'll probably end up watching it on the Cartoon Network app. But I just don't know. I think at the end of the day, it really does feel like, this is a move to get, attention and ratings. I know some people will say, well, how can they do that for ratings? Animation takes so long. This was probably done before the reboot started to go downhill. Well, I've heard with the way this show works, because, the Powerpuff Girls reboot has been out for over a year now, so it's totally possible that they started animation on this before the backlash came out. Like, I heard the ratings started to go downhill after the Teen Titans Go crossover. But even if this is not a response to the low ratings, which, by the way, I have another argument against that. I didn't watch this episode in whole, but I saw a clip from an episode where they attacked the critics of the reboot, saying, oh, all you're saying is lies and slander. So if that episode was a response to the critics of the reboot, then it's pretty safe to assume that this new Power of Four special they started working on that after the backlash started to come out. But even if they didn't, like I said, Cartoon Network with the Teen Titans Go crew, they have this habit of in order to get attention, they'll put out like episodes or even ads where it seems like they're purposely trying to piss off, the critics so that they'll talk about it on the internet, which spreads the word about the show, which means even if people don't like the show, they're going to go check it out and just, yeah, so I think it's safe to say that this is, a way to get attention. Like, in terms of story, I really can't see how this is going to work unless they make Bliss likable. So, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense story-wise, so I think it's fair to say they're doing this for attention. Is Bliss going to be a good character? Well, we'll just have to wait and see when Power 4 comes out on the 17th. So, again, it's coming out Sunday, September 17th at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And I really don't think this reboot is going to do any favors. The ratings might go up slightly because, even the people who hate it are still going to watch it. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Bliss went away after this special, because I don't know. I can't really see them proceeding with the series with a new character like this for a long time. Maybe they will, but we'll have to find out for ourselves. So yeah, alright guys, thanks for watching or listening, if you will. Please, like this video or dislike it. Please subscribe to Plug and Bobby, and thanks for watching or listening. See you guys.